Dublin, November 180, Bravo, Bravo with it.
Right, good morning everybody. Wycliffe Barrett here, Xplane dedicated. Today, what are we doing? We're looking at the TOLISS a321, and I know that some other YouTubers, Captain Canada has done some live streams, and I was going to do a video review, but rather than do a video review, I thought I'd do a live stream myself because I haven't done one for a couple of days, and we're just having a look at the aircraft now from the back, and as we just come look at the shine there, HDR PBR rendering there, absolutely incredible. The shine on the paintwork, it just looks amazing. It's a beautiful aircraft. The modelling on it is superb. I mean, just look at that. Only a few short years ago, you would not have been able to get curves like that on a nacelle or even a wing a few short years ago. But it just looks. I mean, I've flown out of Cardiff Airport many a time. I've flown out of Cardiff Airport on a number of different aircraft, including Airbus A320s, not the A321. I have been on the A330 and the A380, but just looking out at that wing, it's absolutely superb. They've really done a good job. I'm not that impressed with cabin interiors. I don't, it's not something that I crave for. But this is where everything takes place. I'm just having a quick look around the cockpit. Everything is where it should be, and the beauty of Airbus, of course, is that you fly in one Airbus, you fly in them all, apart from the A350. The A350 is very different, I have to say. But in terms of startup, exactly the same. Now the engines are running on this aircraft. I've already started. I've done videos in the past on startups, starting up an Airbus, and they're more or less all the same. So there's really no need to go into that. But I think that what this flight is going to be about is just looking at the aircraft, seeing how it flies, does it work, and just having a little bit of fun. Now, if you haven't had a TOLISS aircraft before, it's worth noting. Let me just move this over here so if anybody does chat, I can see them, because sometimes I have problems seeing this chat on threshold, so to speak. So I'll just move this over here. Anyway, getting back to what I'm trying to say. If you've never had a TOLISS aircraft before, you're in for a treat, because these are highly detailed aircraft with an immense amount of system fidelity in them. So they're incredibly accurate, and so hopefully I'm going to do things correctly. We'll see. One of the main things that you need to realise straight away is that once you've installed your aircraft, is that on the menu system here, you'll have this menu for TOLISS. It says Open ISCS Screen. So this is where you do a lot of interaction with the aircraft. It's where you actually get a lot of your configurations in, so like loading your performance stuff. Ground services are here if you want to use pushback on that. Add-ons will come into this area here when there are some volume sounds here. Joystick configuration. Uh, I really didn't have to do anything. It was already set up. Literally, I did not use anything. You can do your quick alignment of your ADARU or IRS for those of you who don't not sure. General settings over here, so product information, version number, visual settings, display reflections, window reflections, screen background glow, show windshield rain effects. Well, yes, we'll have that on. Show Xplane particle effects. Yeah, we'll have that on as well. Startup behavior. You can change this external power on. Default to co-pilot seat. Ooh. Default baro, HPA or inches of mercury. Default transition altitude, I could set that. It's 6,000 feet here. And then you've got stuff about the user interface, sync baro settings. So that is useful because then you set your baro on the left-hand side, it'll be set on the right-hand side as well. Use pop-out windows for pop-ups. So what this means is, so for example, so that's a pop-out or a pop-up, but I can make it pop out and I can put that over on another screen if I wanted to, which I just did. Similarly, do the same with this as well. I can put that over here on another screen and move that over onto another screen. So that'd be handy if you've got another monitor, or even if you want to build a cockpit and you've got several monitors connected, you could move things around onto cockpit, onto different screens. Yeah, and I can even bring out my EFIS, so to speak, with all the information on there as well, which is really nice. And these are nice and big, and of course you can scale them. Hang on, if I can grab, you can scale them as well. So if you were building a cockpit, that would be really handy. That's pretty neat. And I'm not quite sure what else would pop out. I mean, you can pop that one out as well if you want, but it's not necessary. Let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. Your engine information, your aircraft information panel will come out as well. Absolutely superb. Go back to Takeoff, that one in it. There we go. Close that. And of course your FMC pop out and pop up and pop out, as they call it. Superb, really good. Okay, so everything you need to make a full 3D cockpit if you want to, if you was building a cockpit, or even if you had a number of monitors. I've got 3 monitors on my desk, so I could put all my instruments on one monitor, and then on the other monitor I can monitor my live feed out to you guys. Okay, so that's pretty neat. Let's just check here. There's 5 of you watching at the moment, so say something, say good morning. I'm going to type here. Hope you can hear me okay, so let me know if you can hear. Just put it down in YouTube that you can hear me all right, that I'm coming across loud and clear, and also that you can hear the aircraft noises as well. So if you can just put that in YouTube. We're here in Cardiff, we're live. I'm doing a live stream here on YouTube, so good morning to everybody. And share the link to whoever you wish. Put it on your Facebook, put it on your social media, and let's see if we can get some numbers up here. Okay, I know it's early in the morning here in the UK. It's 9:05 in the morning. Across the pond, if anybody's watching over in the US, it'll be very early in the morning there. But going the other way, going to the Far East, of course, it'll be a bit later in the day if there's anybody around. So share the link all over the place if you can. We're live on YouTube. It's a live stream. My name's Wycliffe Barrett. This is Xplane Dedicated. So I think we'll need a flight plan, and I haven't done anything. I haven't done any planning whatsoever. So I'm just going to go into SimBrief here. I wonder how many people still use SimBrief, because I think it's amazing. It's come on in leaps and bounds over the years, and it just seems to get better and better for some reason. People use, let's use PFPX. I've never understood why people go, you know, do that PFPX. Why would you do that? I mean, it's just so cumbersome. Hey, we've got a flight here already. We'll change that to Chanex. Can I do this? Can I do that? Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do that. Control C. So I've got that there. Whoops. Edit. Oh, I can edit flight. Here we go. Can I edit this flight? I can. There we go. That's that. So we'll use this flight. And I guess, first things first, let's get to the FMC. How do we get rid of that? No, this got it in pop out and I don't want it. Ah, there we are. That's how you do it. It's a learning process. The one thing that I find really quite annoying about this is you can move it, but the click spot for moving it is really awkward. Anyway, so we're going to go to Glasgow on this flight, and we'll just start planning, I think. So here we go. So it's EGFF/EGPF. Flight number is Chanex, so it's EXS2302. Flight number there. Cost index, we'll do 18. And we're going to go to 280. Okay. So sorry to put the minus temperature in there. I'm going to move this over here because at this point I'm going to need my ICS screen. I'll tell you what, let's centralize this a bit, move this over here so we can see what's going on, okay? Because some of the things I will need from here, okay? So fuel. Well, that's more than enough fuel, so we'll just do a quick refuel there, and that will refuel me. Now, all of these aircraft payloads, so passengers, passenger distribution, luggage, etc. The above settings give 0 fuel weight to 27.4, 65,395 kilos. If I click on that, those things will be sent over to the init B page, or if I hadn't have done that, I could have put those in myself. Okay, but why do that? You know, so I got to select a departure runway, and so here we go to flight plan, init flight plan. Here we go. So my departure is runway 30. It's a Brecon 1 Alpha departure. In. Okay, you see the Brecon 1 Alpha departure has been put in the primary flight display here. I'll bring this over here so you can see this. So there's the Brecon 1 Alpha departure, it's been placed in there, and then we just need to put in the rest of the flight plan, which is really quite straightforward. So moving up here, Brecon, okay, so we need the airways. No, we need the waypoint, sorry. So it's a new waypoint, so BCN. Choose the top one, because that is the one. Okay. And we go to Brecon, and now it's airways. So click on airways, and it's November 864. November 864. Yeah. Now that goes to Knighton, but now what they've done with the TOLISS is that you can now just put in the next airway, which you couldn't do previously. So it's Upper Papa 17. and it puts in the waypoint over here, and you can see that it's temporarily put it in the flight plan there because it's in yellow. Okay, whereas this is solid green, that's just dashed yellow. Alright, so it's part of the temporary flight plan. The next one is Upper Papa 16 6 excuse me. That will have gone in as well. And then it's Ribble or Ribble. As the final waypoint, and then temporary insert. And you can see it's gone solid green there now all the way through. The first bit was dashed yellow and green because there was more to do, and then it went dashed yellow, and now it's green. Okay, and now we need to put in our arrival, EGPF arrival. It's ILS 23, and it's going to be a LANAC 2 Alpha. Okay, put temporary. There we go. So that's the flight plan done. We need to go to our perf initialization page, and this is where we can select over here on our TOLISS interactive simulation control system. Is we can select the flap configuration, and then it will come up with the V1, VR, V2. So V1 is 146. Whoops, missed that. 146 6. There we go. 154 and 157. There we go. Runway 30 is the one in use, so 300 meters shift on that. Now flaps, this always causes some issues for people. It's saying up 00, which is highly unusual. So my CG is going to be 28.2. I don't need to worry about the CG because the aircraft will work all that out, as well as trim. Okay, there was my flex temp. Flex temp is 65. Put that in there. Okay, and it's UP 0.0. No, that's format. I always get this bit wrong. So 1 slash. What's this it? No. Yeah. I always get this bit wrong for some reason. Help. Always catches me out, this. So THS is CG is 28.2. CG is up 0.0. No. Let's have a look at. You'd think zero fuel. Apply these. Block fuel. Yeah. Departure runway. SF config. Let's. I did this the other day, and why is it 28.2 UPO 0, 0. We can't have 0, 0. It's impossible. There we go. One down. You can't have up. Alright, so there we go. That's that bit done. Next phase. Don't need to worry about anything else there because the FMC or MCDU, to give it its correct name, is fully configured. So we can close that. We can now close that, and we can get to the aircraft itself. So I have got a view here, so it's 6,000 feet. You can change this to run in hundreds or thousands. So that's hundreds. And once again, it's all about click spots. There we go, thousands. So 6,000 feet initial altitude, and QNH is, let's have a look. QNH is 1013. Okay, I think we're more or less ready to go. Now then, I am using, as well as this beautiful aircraft, I'm using Passengers FX. Now what you do with Passengers FX 2020 is once you've got your aircraft set up, you can start doing things. So you come here and you go to fly with a lure, reload all macros, start Passengers FX 2020.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final boarding call for your flight. Please proceed to the departure gate. Thank you and have a pleasant journey.
There we go. So aircraft is loading. You possibly can hear people in the background. Whilst that's doing that, I will call for pushback. I'll pre-plan my pushback rather. And of course now better pushback recognises.
Cabin crew, doors to automatic, please. Cross-check and report.
There we go. Doors to automatic. Cross-check and report.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledge. Call me through the menu when you're ready.
There we go. Everybody's doing their thing. Right, see if anybody's about having a chat. Oh, there's a few people here. Forwards, good morning. Just watching the video. Yeah, good morning, good morning. Branimir Filovsky, hello. Yeah, good morning. Chris Salton, good morning.
Cabin crew, arm doors for departure.
Status final, you've just stumbled across this channel, you didn't even know it existed. Xplane Dedicated has been around for a long time. Status final, thank you, 1/up0, yeah. It always catches me out that. Francois Rule, hi Wycliffe, love your videos. Thank you, Francois. Bonjour, monsieur. Shomo, good morning. This is all double Dutch to me,
Cabin
but I'll
crew,
watch it
please
anyway.
prepare for gate departure.
You might learn something. You might learn something, Show Smoke. Who knows? Okay. Well, thank you for those of you who are here. Please share the video. Those Francois, Branimir, please share the video. Status final, share the video. The link. You've come across this channel. You just share it wherever you can. Okay. Now with Passengers FX 2020.
Ladies and gentlemen, the aircraft doors have now closed. So at this time, all electronic equipment needs to be turned off and left off until 10 minutes into our flight. If you came on board with a mobile phone, Please check that now, and make sure it's turned off and left off until you are in the terminal. My name is Francisca, and on behalf of the entire crew, we would like to welcome you aboard. In just a moment, we will be showing you a very important safety video. We ask for a few minutes of your undivided attention for this important message. Thank you, and again, welcome on board.
So, what I was trying to say, with Passengers FX 2020, all of those announcements happen automatically. They happen at certain points throughout the flight, but also in the startup procedure. Do not start Passengers FX 2020 until you've got your aircraft set up, otherwise things will happen and things will be announced long before you're ready. Also, make sure that you've got your lighting correct, otherwise certain things will happen. Okay, let's just put in on the smoke and seatbelt alarms, and obviously I'm waiting for the tug. He should be here by now. I better push back.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
There we go. I forgot to ask for it, but he's coming. Shomok, you've been watching that many videos of mine. You should be learning something by now. It should be going in through osmosis. Anyway, once again, good morning. We're live here on YouTube. We're live streaming the TOLISS A321, beautiful aircraft from TOLISS. If you've never seen any of these aircraft, they are superb. The external modelling, absolutely beautiful. There's the tow truck. He's just pushback. He's just turned up. I was going to do this live on VATSIM, but at this time of the morning here in the UK, you'd be very lucky to find any
Okay,
ATC.
all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
You'd be very hard pushed to find any ATC in the UK at this time of the day, so we'll just do it offline, which is okay as far as I'm concerned. So it's a live stream of the TOLISS A321. Please share the link, put it on your social media. Friends of yours that are into flight simulation, send it to them, and just get it around there. Okay. Once again, I hope you can hear me all right and you can hear the aircraft. If you could just let me know, just in the the comments, just put in the comments.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Oh, better release the parking brake. We've got Steve Marriott from Australia. Good morning, Steve. Good to see you.
Starting pushback.
Hope everything's okay in Australia. We haven't heard any news about the fires just lately here in the UK, so I'm assuming everything's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard our flight today. Every member of our team is here to ensure that your journey is as pleasant and as comfortable as possible. We are honoured that you have chosen to fly with us. Thank you. Your safety and comfort are our top priority, so before the aircraft takes off, please pay attention to the following safety instructions. Please keep your seatbelt fastened while seated. It can be fastened and unfastened like this. We recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times, as turbulence can occur unexpectedly. In the unlikely event of a sudden loss of air pressure, oxygen masks will drop from the panel above your seat. Remain seated and pull the mask towards you. Press it against your nose and mouth and continue to breathe normally. You must fit your own mask on before helping others use. A life jacket is stowed under your seat. When instructed to do so by the crew, pull the life jacket over your head. Attach the strap to the hook in the front and pull tight to adjust it to your waist. Before leaving the aircraft, pull the red toggle sharply towards you to inflate the jacket. If you leave the aircraft via an emergency exit over the wing window, please inflate your jacket outside. If necessary, you can top up the air through the tube. Every life jacket has a lamp which lights up in the water when you pull this tab. All emergency exits include a luminous exit indicator. Photoluminescent strips on the floor will guide you to these exits. Do take time to locate the nearest exit towards you.
Operation
It may be located
complete.
behind your seat.
Set
To review
parking
these
brake.
instructions, please refer to the safety card.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
This or any other flight is a non-smoking flight. To bring you closer to the places you want to discover. To bring you closer to the ones you love. flying further each and every day in the comfort and safety. That's our commitment to you. Enjoy your journey. Thank you for your attention. Ladies and gentlemen, we do thank you very much for your attention, and now we invite you to sit back, relax and enjoy the takeoff. We'll give you a little more information about our service plan for our flight as soon as we are in the air. Thank you, and again, welcome on board.
Okay, so we're just waiting for we've had the safety video.
TOLISS disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Alright. So we're just waiting now for the tug to go to the left. We'll watch him out of the left here. Hopefully we'll get the hand signal. Sometimes the tug goes behind the door pillar here, the window pillar, and so we can't see the guy. But hopefully we'll get him today. There we go, we've got the hand signal, so that means we're clear to move. What I need to do is get some lights on. Oops, up here. I can barely see you. So wing lights on, navigation and logo. Put that on, and strobe. And
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll shortly be dimming the cabin lights for takeoff and once again for landing. If you wish to read, then a reading light can be found in the panel above you. Alternatively, for our business and first class passengers, a reading light can be found by your left shoulder. Thank you.
Steve tells us there's a lot of flooding in Australia, which is very, very sad. But we can sympathise with you and empathise, because we've got terrible flooding here in the UK at the moment. We've had a couple of weeks of storms.
Cabin crew, please take your seats for takeoff.
Nothing like you've got or had. Our flooding is pretty serious, because we've had two storms come through, Storm Dennis and Storm Kira, and they've really caused havoc in the last couple of weeks, especially here in South Wales and in Yorkshire, Somerset and around there. So there's really bad storms and really bad flooding. Anyway, back to the flight. We've had our safety video. The captain has had a quick chat with the passengers, and we're just taxiing on down to runway 30. And once again, TOLISS, they brought out the A319. I think it was just 2 years ago. 2 years ago, and as it is with the world of flight simulation, of course, if people don't hear anything, they think nothing is happening, and people were clamouring for this aircraft. And it was only really announced a few months ago that TOLISS were actually working on this, and of course, as soon as developers announce something, everybody goes bonkers and they start saying, "When's it ready? When's it ready?" And here it is. It's out. This is release candidate 1, so it's not yet available to purchase, but it will be very, very soon. So myself and a number of other people, YouTubers, social media influencers, or whatever you want to call us, have gotten hold of it.
Approaching 30.
So many thanks to TOLISS. This video is really sponsored completely by TOLISS, which allows me to continue to bring this kind of content to you. So a number of us have got it. I have only watched Captain Canada, and you know, I think there's been some unfair comments about his streams, but anyway, I don't want to get into that. I do my streams and that's it. So let's just do a final check. Make sure everything's okay. Get the takeoff lights on. Whoops. And some landing lights. You put on as many lights as you can for final status. Compared to the A319, it's an Airbus. What more can I say? They are such incredibly stable aircraft. It's just unbelievable. It's a joy to fly. I did a flight yesterday in this and it was perfect. We flew down to Nice, I believe. I always forget to do that, so we'll start the chrono and we'll get out of here. So auto throttle thrust, toga. So we're just I tell you something, it seems to be a lot easier to hold on the centre line than some other aircraft. I've got some really a nice set of pedals here. V1, rotate. Gear up. Just going off the centre line a bit. So let's get us back on, and we'll get on by doing this. Hit autopilot 1. Bring us back on course, back onto the magenta. No, I don't find it sensitive. It depends what you're using. Have you got rudder pedals, status final? I've got the. I haven't got the. I've forgotten what pedals I've got. I've got the Thrustmaster pedals, which at first I found really twitchy, but I've gotten used to them, and I found no problems whatsoever. Flaps up. Lever to climb. Here we go. Beautiful departure. Lovely departure out of Cardiff. If only the weather was like this in real life. In answer to questions, I mean, I found the A319 equally as good, although I think this is a little bit better. There's a lot of refinements on this as well. You know, things like, let me pull this up here and make this a little bit bigger for you, if I can. I know I can, but it's finding the click spot. So there's a lot of refinements, certainly on the navigational display here, such as, you know, distance to waypoints and the rings around the waypoints. Unlike Boeing, where you can put loads of information on here, there's not an awful lot of information, although you'll get it with things like when you change the mode. So there's navigation mode there, VOR, ILS, plan. We have, of course, got you know, whoops, I don't know what happened there. Hang on. So you've got waypoint data. You can put on VOR data as well down the bottom here. Heading bug up here. Oddly, whenever you change a function over on the glare shield here, it turns off, switches off the display, so you've got to click it back on again. So airports, there are no airports close by, I suppose. Let me change the range. There's the airports. Okay. So yeah, I think so far I find it perfect. But then again, the A319, it was the same. I had no problems with the A319 either. That worked just as well. I suppose we better climb flight level 1 out of 50. as we go over the Welsh countryside. Keep the lights on until flight level 10, flight level 100. Show mode, I wonder if you're learning anything. Are you learning anything? Of course, the Airbus is fully automated in many respects. The only thing that you really need to do whilst flying, I'll be honest, is you need to manage your radios. And when you're talking to ATC, everything else, I mean, the aircraft flies itself, and of course that was the beauty of it when it first came into production, that it was an aircraft that could virtually fly itself. You know, it's all computer based, fly-by-wire. And I have to say also, oh, hang on, I need the strobe on. Nav and logo off, wing off, runway off, landing lights. I'm turning these off early because, yeah, there we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now passed the altitude of 10,000 feet. All electronic devices may now be switched off from aeroplane mode. This aircraft is equipped with Wi-Fi. Please see a flight attendant for more information.
Thrust climb. So the throttle, of course, is, for those of you who don't fly Airbus, is the FADEC system. So quite simply, you have a takeoff mode, thrust climb, cruise, and then reverse. And basically, that is all managed by the computers. You just need to make sure that the throttle's in the right position. As you can see here, it's saying put the lever into the climb position. There we go. It's a very, very, very fine adjustments on the throttle lever, which I've done. I'm going to turn down the sim a little bit. It's a bit loud in my ears. So let me turn this down a bit. There we go. That's better. And I won't have to shout so much. Show smoke. I understand the gist of it, but I have yet to get on top of understanding the flight management system. I'm a damp hand at taking off and landing the big jets with manual landings. Well, you will see a full you won't see a full auto land, but you'll certainly see me capturing the ILS, and I will disengage the autopilot around about 1,000 feet, which is normal. So yeah, your manual landings is fine. But at the moment, as you can see, I'm flying no hands. If I could turn my camera and my webcam on, you can see I'm flying no hands at the moment. I've always said that the best books to get for learning how to handle the big jets is the Mike Ray books. I'm going to climb flight level 280. Yeah, just checking that I am climbing. So yeah, you're also okay with the autopilot. Well, then that's fine. So when you say you're a bit dodgy about systems, what do you mean? Do you mean programming the MCDU or just generally flight systems? Let me know what you mean, and I'll try and answer your question. In terms of auto landings, the Airbus can do an auto landing. The weather parameters have to be in a certain range. Obviously, if it's too windy, the autopilot will try to do a good job, but that's when the pilot takes over. And generally, I disengage the autopilot at around about 1,000 foot, and then by which time the aircraft is self-trimmed. Yeah. as I say, Shoma, the book, I bought a book, and it's by Mike Ray. You can find them. You can find him through his website. His website is www.utem.com, I believe. Anyway, you can find him there. And one of his books, I bought the book for the Boeing 737, and it was that book that taught me how to program an FMC. The difference here with Airbus, there is a difference between the Airbus MCDU and a Boeing FMC. Okay, and what I'm going to say is learn one first, learn how to program one first, and then start to learn how to program the other. If you fly Boeing aircraft, then Mike Ray does books for Boeing aircraft, for the full range of Boeing aircraft, and his books are written in such a way that they're humorous and they're full of pictures as well. So there's pictures and words. I've done videos about his books in the past, so that they are pictures and words. They look great, they're humorous, and you know, you can have a bit of fun as well, learning at the same time. And that's what I used to learn how to program the FMC in a Boeing aircraft, and it's also the book that I learned how to program the MCDU in an Airbus, because they're slightly different. The inputting of the flight plan is more or less the same, but the rest of it, in terms of perf initialization and init page B and all that, that's slightly different. Well, once you've learned how to do both of them, then you can program almost any MCDU or FMC. You know, they're not different on different aircraft. They're more or less the same. Anyway, certainly have a look. And there are lots of videos on YouTube about programming MCDUs and FMCs. I've done them, so if you have a look on my playlists, you'll find them there as well. Okay, well, we've lost a few people now. There's only 4 watching, but once again, for those of you who've been here, thank you very much. For those of you who are going to catch this in the future, maybe you'll watch it tonight or over the next few days. The reason why I decided to do this video was that I was going to do a full review, but I think sometimes flying the aircraft is better than doing a review. Because it's live, and if you go right to the beginning of this video, you'll see that I struggled sorting out the flaps, because I always get the what's the word I'm looking for? I always misunderstand the configuration that they want, that you've got to write in. It catches me out almost every time. But then again, I haven't been flying Airbus for quite some time. I've been flying Boeing. So it's good to get back into an Airbus, and this, it is so stable. I cannot impress upon you how stable this aircraft is. It flies perfectly with no issues whatsoever. It really is that good. Right, so the stream is going well. We have no problems at the moment, no issues. Everything looks good, and yeah, it's a nice flight, as you can see. I noticed something I noticed the other day was when I was flying this kind of the light, the nav light there flashing, picking it up on the wing. That is some really, clever programming. Just for that little thing there. A bit of turbulence then, I think we had. Well, we're almost at top of climb. Our top of climb will be just before Anjak. I'll leave the nav display up there for a moment. I'll tell you what, why don't we put that there? Whoops. Now you can have them both up at the same time, but for some reason... Why is that? How strange. Ah, there we go. I thought we could have them both up at the same time. It takes a little bit of jiggery pokery to get them both up at the same time. There we are. So we've got the primary flight display on the left here, the PFD. So we've got our track and our heading, which is perfect at the moment. Where speed is 300. We've got 900 feet to go to flight level. QNH is standard. There's a deviation there, just slightly off track, so the wind is pushing us a little bit from the left to the right. Over on the navigation display here, we can see our ground speed is 448 knots, which is pretty good. True airspeed is 447. We're coming up to Anjak in 5.2 miles, which is really useful data if you want to tell anybody. Time is 13:28 in the sim. There we go. ILS approach. So he's telling, because we've reached our top of climb, he's saying, right, the computer's saying to me, you need to sort out your ILS approach, okay, for Glasgow. Yeah, alright, we'll do that in a moment. Here we have VOR Brecon is 16.4950. We can turn, that is because I haven't changed the radios, but that's alright. We're 70 odd miles away from Brecon.
We'll be soon serving you with cold drinks and a light snack.
Cold drinks and a light snack will be served shortly. Okay, so we've still got the airport data on there. Let's get rid of that, and we'll close that as well. So I want to go to my MCDU and start looking at my. So I need to activate the approach phase, but at the same time I also need to find some weather for Glasgow. Just so. Okay, so activate approach phase. Confirm. So I need to look for the QNH for Glasgow. QNH is 1001. And temperature is 7. Wow, it's a bit chilly up there. And the wind is 210. Oh gosh, 210. It says it's gusting to 30 to 42 knots, so that's real world. So I'm going to put in 15 because we're flying M250. Whoops. We'll do config 3. Okay. So my approach speed 145 and landing speed is 140. Now in a Boeing you'd get your landing speed and you have to add 5 knots. In an Airbus you do not need to. Whatever it's telling you is correct. Okay, so that is that. I do not need to tune the radios. The radios would be tuned automatically for the ILS. There we go. So there's the ILS.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We're currently at a cruising altitude and the weather's looking pretty good. We should have a smooth flight, and we expect to land approximately 15 minutes ahead of schedule. The weather continues to cooperate. We should get a great view of the city as we descend. And until then, please sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. Thank you.
Well, there we go. Apparently, we're going to land 15 minutes ahead of schedule. That would be some flying, I'd have to say. That really would. Okay, let's have a look at the flight configuration here. Let's have a look at the weather. Yeah. Alright. I could put real world weather on, but it's going to throw the aircraft about all over the sky, so I'm not willing to do that. Cold drinks and a light snack. Yeah, you'd be lucky. If it was Ryanair, you'd get nothing. Okay, so I am configured. So let's just put my flight plan back up. Now, I've flown this so many times, I know that I need to be at flight level 70 by LANAC. See it there? So when I get to the top of descent, and I'll show you what that will look like, if I can. So that arrow that is white and going down, that is my top of descent. So I could put that in there now. And as we approach the top of descent, I'll hit the button to activate it, so it gets a dot, a white dot by the altitude, and it will just go down. And we'll descend to that. In fact, theoretically, once we approach that, it should descend automatically, but I always like to just hit the button just to make sure myself. Okay. Alright, so everything's going well. There's only 3 people watching at the moment, which is fine. And it's much to do with the time of day that I broadcast. I broadcast first thing in the morning. Sometimes I'll broadcast in the evening when my wife has gone out. She goes to the theatre. I don't like broadcasting live when my wife is here because it's just too much noise from me, you know. Not from the PC, because I'm in my study, but you know, you can imagine hear me rabbiting on all the time. It must be really distracting. I was just wondering whether I've got time to go and make myself a cup of coffee.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the main cabin, we will be starting our meal service very shortly. We have 2 selections of entrees. We have a penne pasta with a cheese and tomato sauce. The other selection is a chicken with vegetables and a rice stuffing. We will be following our meal cart service with a beverage cart, and we do ask, if you are eating, as a courtesy to those behind you, if you could bring your seat up, just to let those behind you room to enjoy their meal.
Well, I've never heard that before, where it's ask you to put your seats up. Well, they do anyway, but that was kind of an unusual request. Oh, excuse me. Captain's feeling a bit tired now. I've been up so early. So the 3 of you who are still there may be more, I don't know, but if you've got any questions, if there's anything you want to ask, just type them in there and I'll try my very, very best to answer them. Questions about anything to do with flight simulation or ATC on VATSIM. Oh, you forgot to tell them you're gluten-free. Yeah. In fact, now here's the thing. When we were flying, we went on holiday in November. We went to India, and we flew direct from Gatwick or Heathrow. I can't remember where we flew from. I got to be honest, and I cannot remember. I think it was Heathrow. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Flew with TUI. I'm trying to remember what aircraft we was in. A350. because I got pictures of myself in the cockpit on the way home. Anyway, the point of this is, you go on to any airline website and it says you can book your seats, you can book your meals and all the rest of it. So sure enough, go online, seats are booked, we've got extra legroom in our seats. My wife is vegetarian, I booked a vegetarian meal for her. I'm not vegetarian. Meal time comes around and they haven't got her meal, they haven't got her vegetarian meal. In fact, they tried to just give her a meat meal, and so I complained bitterly, and I said, "Hey, hang on, I booked everything, I always do," and I got my phone out and I showed them, and they were very, very apologetic, and so anyway, eventually she got a vegetarian meal, but and they said, "Oh, we'll make sure it's marked on for your return flight home." But not only did we get vegetarian meals, they gave, well, my wife doesn't drink alcohol, but they brought a free bottle of champagne.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will be shortly starting our in-flight entertainment system on the screen in front of you, and also on the screens at the front of the cabin. You can also turn on additional features such as subtitles, as well as change the language using the remote.
Well, it's a bit late, we're almost at top of descent, but anyway, this is what happens. They brought us a bottle of champagne, and literally, I only had to look in the direction of the cabin crew, and they were there. I didn't have to want anything, but as soon, if I looked in their direction, they were there, and then on the return journey, 2 weeks later, on the return journey, I asked the cabin crew if there was any chance I could get into the cockpit, and they said, "We'll ask the captain," and the captain came back and he said, "Yes, come up to the cockpit when we've landed at Gatwick." It was Gatwick. Come up to the cockpit when we've landed, and yes, you can. And I've got photographs of me sat in the left-hand seat in the A350. Absolutely amazing. It was so good. Yeah, I suppose they would want to get that meal done quickly, because they won't have that many of them on there, and they just don't want to get the meal mixed up with any other meals, so they just get it out there quickly. Yeah, it was. I got to say, I think that generally flying today is a good experience. Especially if you're flying long haul. It can be quite a nice experience. Certainly when we flew to India and Vietnam last year and China the year before, the experience was superb. Although when we went to China, we flew on the A380, and I have to say I didn't think very much of the A380. I wasn't on the upper deck. We've only ever turned left once getting onto a plane, going into first class. But I didn't think the A380 was... I enjoyed flying back from China on a 747 more than the A380. Which is a bit strange, because I know so many people who, say, I want to go on the A380. The aircraft that I really want to go on is an A340, but I don't think there's that many of them flying now. They're big old planes. You don't see many of them, that's for sure. Right. I want to see if I can get this view as we start the turn. Here we go. This will look good. There you are.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you are in the first or business class sections, you will find the controls for your reading light, call button, and the in-flight entertainment system on the inside of your armrest. In the economy cabin, these controls are located on the top of your armrest. To adjust your seat, push the button beside the panel. Toilets for the passengers seated in economy cabins are located in the front, middle, and rear of these cabins.
I'm a bit late with those announcement calls. especially on this flight, because we've only got 40 miles. Is it 40 miles top of descent? Yeah, 45 miles. No, 38 miles to top of descent. Oh well. So we're coming into... Yeah, the Orbeck scenery is fantastic, isn't it? I actually had Florida. I have Florida for review, but unfortunately I installed it, and for some reason it just would not work. Every time I loaded up, it said, "Oh, the scenery's incorrect," or "There's something missing." I just couldn't get it to work, so I uninstalled it and I will reinstall it again. Although I must admit, when I was downloading it the first time, it kept stopping, and it was terrible. And I've got a 200 megabits per second download speed, and it was just, I think it took a day and a half, maybe 2 days to download it. So it wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the files got corrupted. So I'll have to do that again another day. I'll probably start the download first thing in the morning and just let it go. Not touch the PC. I just realised my ground spoilers are still on, but that's okay. I've closed them now. Oops. So hopefully this landing will be as good as the previous one that I did. I'm trying to get some different views. Here we go. There we are. You can see the Orbeck scenery, True Earth, Great Britain North. Yeah, it is. It's huge. It's absolutely massive. And of course, you can get the SD version.
Ladies and gentlemen, for your enjoyment during our flight today, we have placed a complimentary copy of our in-flight magazine in the seat pocket in front of you. If you wish, please feel free to take this with you when you leave.
The Florida scenery comes in SD or HD versions. And I downloaded the HD version, which is massive. I can't remember how many gigabytes it was, but it's absolutely massive. It's getting to the point now where I'm going to have to get some new hard drives, or more hard drives. I've got three 2 terabyte hard drives in the PC. I've got 2 external hard drives. One of them is 2 terabytes and the other is 1 terabyte. And I definitely need a new SSD for Windows, because my SSD was only very small. It was 220 gig, and that is already kind of full. So I'm thinking I can get a 500 gig SSD for around about £60, and complete with the transfer software as well. So it's got software on it that will transfer Windows from one drive to another, which is really handy. Because the way you do it, the way that Microsoft explain how to do it, it's a pain in the backside. So it's a lot easier if you've got software. I mean, Acronis would do it for you as well, which is pretty good. I haven't used it for a long time. I used to use it all the time when it was free, but it's no longer free, I don't think. I'll have to check, because Acronis is really, really good for looking after your drives and files and everything. In fact, let's do a Google search now. Acronis official UK site. Acronis backup software. Acronis True Image. There we go. I'll put the link in for anybody who's interested in this. It's a huge. Oh gosh. I'll put the shortened link in. Frank! Shh, shh, shh. Hang on, is there somebody at my door? Right, I need to go to the door. I think there's somebody there. Let's push this button. Frank! Okay. Yeah, alright. Yeah, the postman was at the door. Right, fortunately the aircraft has started its descent. You can see there, we are descending. Nice rate. Speed will come down shortly, and yeah, hopefully we'll be on profile. So at the moment, we're certainly on the speed profile there. As you can see, the green circle. So we're on speed, and we're not in the descent profile just yet. So we'll sort things out shortly. Okay. Just need to check on a couple of things. I might as well arm the ground spoilers ready for landing. Oh, I forgot to show you as well that you can have two different pages on your MCDU. Because they're both they work independently. Both sides of the aircraft work independently from each other and dependently. So there's the flight plan and there's the init page there. I suppose I could go to the RadNav page just to make sure everything's okay. Click on VOR1 and VOR2. Radios. Don't really need to put any lights on yet, but I will put the wing lights on, and we'll turn the nav lights and logo on. If I can get that up there. There we are. Turn those on in prep. And we're descending nicely. Status final, let's have a look. My ground speed is still 316. So, you know, it's being managed okay. I'm not going to adjust the speed. We'll leave it at that. So my ground speed is 314, 220. It should actually be 250 indicated, but thrust is idle. You can see the thrust needles here. So N1 is idle, even though the lever is up in the thrust. That's fine. That's all good, as they say. There we go. So my dog, when I've got my earphones on, I can't hear the doorbell because these are noise-cancelling headsets, and but I can hear Frank when he starts barking. And luckily, he hears the doorbell and he barks for me, so that's good. and it was the postman with a parcel. Not for me, unfortunately, for my wife. But that's okay. I don't mind. I'm just looking through all my lottery tickets here, so I'm pretty sure I had a lottery ticket for Wednesday. You know, I could be sat here, I could be a millionaire and not know it. So yeah, there they are. I'll check my numbers after. You know, I could be sat here, millions waiting for me. We all know what would happen then. I'd be onto Scarlacki. I'd have a full-size... Would I have... See, this is the problem. Would I have a full-size Boeing cockpit, or would I have an Airbus? I've seen the Scarlacki one. I've actually played on the Scarlacki one at RAF Cosford, and that is amazing. It really is absolutely superb. Everything, you know. I mean, it's the same if you get in a Boeing one. You know, the flight deck solutions one or whatever. You know, that everything is where it's supposed to be, or where you know it is from spending time in the flight simulator. Well, the Scarlacki is really nice. I think it's 38,000 euros. If I won $1 million or two, what's 38,000 euros? Nothing. I'd get them to install it in my house. I'd have a room specific. Well, I have a room now, but I couldn't get a cockpit in here. It's not big enough. But I certainly could get one in a new house. I wouldn't buy a full-size A320. I just wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Those days have gone. I did have flying lessons, and I got my PPL some years ago. But unfortunately, because of the weather here in the UK, it's pretty hard to keep your PPL because you've got to do those, got to get those hours in, and I couldn't go any further when I was younger because I'm deaf in one ear, deaf in my right ear, and at the time that was deemed to be problematic if you wanted to be a pilot. Excuse me. So I think once we land at Glasgow, it'll be I'll be having a double shot of espresso, I think. Half asleep here. So just once again, you know, scanning the aircraft, making sure everything's okay, and it is. You know, ground spoilers around. I could put my brakes on now, I suppose. Medium. You can't do max brakes for landing in an Airbus. You can only do max brakes at takeoff, and that's in case you do a rejected takeoff. I'm not sure how you do a rejected takeoff. I've done them in Boeing aircraft. I think it's just throttle back and slam on the brakes, isn't it? It's probably the same in a Boeing. You set your brake knob to RTO, which is rejected takeoff. In Airbus, you set your brakes to max. So same thing. Yeah, I mean it's a bummer, you know, for those of us who would like to fly in the real world. You know, if you've got any kind of medical condition. A friend of mine recently gave up his PPL because he knew that he would fail the medical. Because obviously you've got to have a medical every 2 years, I think. and he got to an age where he knew that he would not be able to pass the medical, so he had to just give up his PPL. And he wasn't very old. He was 60. I'm saying not very old. It's all relative, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. You guys could be 13 for all I know. But yeah, he was only 60, so he had a good few years of flying left in him. But unfortunately, life was not kind, and he had to look after himself. Now we're coming up to Lanark here. Now I know that the heading to take off Lanark is 350. Right? If you follow the FMC, it can get a bit tight. Let me show you. I don't know whether I'll be able to show you. That turn there is really tight on that heading. It can be done, but whenever I flew into Glasgow in the early days, the controllers would always give me 350 from Lanark, and then just a bit of self-vectoring to get to the ILS. So I think that's what I'll do. And it'll be interesting to see how the aircraft handles manual inputs rather than the computer doing it. Okay, so we'll do that. What I'll do is I'll put that over there so I can see what's going on. You're not that old. You're in your mid-40s. Yeah, like I say, you know, if any kind of medical condition, it doesn't matter. You know, it could be eyesight, hearing, something. If you can't get that medical, although, you know, I mean, it depends. There's a friend of mine. He's a wheelchair user, and he can't fly. You know, he hasn't got the motor, the fine motor movement to be able to fly. But he has been able to go up in aeroplanes. There's a company down in London that specifically gives flights to wheelchair users, and it's amazing. I mean, and he's been on that. He's flown with them a few times around London. He can't have hands-on control, but he still gets the experience of flying. So you're a bit of a hippie, are you, Showmoke? A bit of a hippie. Used to fly hang gliders. Brilliant. Do you still fly them? That's the question. Or are you into, what do they call them? Oh, I forgot what they're called now. The powered ones, you know, the powered glider, hang gliders. What do they call them now? I've forgotten. Paramotors. No, that's a parasail, isn't it? Yeah, I can't remember. Right, I'm beginning to wonder whether I should self-vector a little bit, or whether we'll see if the aircraft can get itself on there. I think we'll see if we can get it on there, because that would be a real test, wouldn't it, today? It would be a real test, because I know that turn is a bit harsh. And normally we would go 350. So no, we'll stay on plan, and we'll see if we can get on, because it'd be interesting. I don't need to do this now. In a Boeing aircraft, the way that you set up in the ILS is entirely different from the way you set it up in Airbus. In Airbus, there are 3 switches. You've got, and I hope you can see my mouse on screen. I'm pretty sure you can. There's 3 switches. You've got the LS button there. You've got the localizer, and then you've got approach over here on the right. Okay, and that's all you have to do. Gave up not long after other interests came along. Girls, marriage, children, who knows? I don't know. I shouldn't make assumptions, but that's what happened to me, because I used to fly gliders down at Barton Airport in Manchester and around the northwest of England when I was 15, 16, and then girls, I was a DJ, you know, living the dream, and it all went to pot then. That was the end of my flying career. I suppose if I'd stuck at it, you know, I would have had. I was en route to being a pilot, but you know, like I say, I found out later in life that I was never going to make an airline pilot, not being deaf in one ear. But I had, like I say, I had my PPL. Wasn't a problem. And now I have other hobbies: flight simulation, drone racing, and dog, which will do me fine. You're a jazz drummer, so that took up a lot of it. Yeah, I can imagine it would. I have a lot of respect for anybody who can play an instrument of any kind. I watched Dr. K on YouTube, and I think the guy he's a genius, absolute genius. Okay, so as you can see, we're perfectly in the descent gate now. So the descent gate, this is what it looks like here. Is the blue band. That's my descent gate. So I'm bang on at 7,000 feet. I'm in the speed zone as well because we've got the little green circle there on speed. So that's perfect. Brown spoilers around, that's what those green things are there. And not only that, it's telling us spoilers around there. Okay. So, our next descent will be down to 5,000 feet. So when we get to Lanark, then descend 5,000 feet. Then at 5,000 feet, descend to 2,900 for the capture, which is a bit high. Yeah, I'm sure we will. Then I will be going to RAF Cosford in October. I think that's when it is, October. I will be there. We'll have a stand. Xplane dedicated will have a stand again, like last year. Hopefully sponsored by Wired to Fire Computers. They've sponsored my stand for the last 2 years, so it allows me to put some PCs there and people can get hands-on with Xplane. Last year was brilliant for Xplane. The year before wasn't so good. There were only a few of us exhibiting Xplane, myself and a couple of other people, but this past year, last year, back in October, was superb, absolutely brilliant for Xplane. There was an awful lot of exhibitors showing Xplane and developers showing Xplane. It was absolutely superb. Okay, here we go. We're just going over Lanark, so I'm going to descend to 5,000. There we go. And because we've hit the descent, we now have to tell it to descend to a different altitude, because I'm telling it to descend to 5,000. So then you've got to hit the button so you get the white dot, and the aircraft is continuing on its descent, or it will do when it comes out of the turn. It'll go down to 5,000 when it gets to the tick mark there. That makes, and then my next descent will be 2,900. There we go. I pulled the button out, sorry, I'm managing it, not the computer. So the next one after 5,000 will be 2,900. I'll zoom out a little bit on here. See, yeah, I'm hoping. I'm pretty sure we will make that turn, but as I say, I've always gone on ahead in a 3.5 just to give me a couple of extra track miles. It's quite a steep descent into Glasgow. There's only 2 watching, nobody wants to watch the landing. That's alright, I don't mind. Because with lots of people will pick up the video later on today. Lots. Nice that we've got some thumbs up and there's no trolls about. Hopefully the stream has come across okay, that there hasn't been any problems today. And I don't think there has. I think it's been fairly stable throughout, much like the aircraft. Oh, Q&H. Stream is good, thank you. And you can hear everything okay, sure, Mark. I know I've asked a couple of times. Nobody actually said yet they could hear everything all right. I'm pretty sure you can. There we go, 5,000. Let's carry on down to 2 and 9. There we go, descending to 2,900 as we come over the hills here, out to the west of Glasgow. Sound is fine, good. I am pleased. I'm gonna, that's not the volume I want. I'm gonna turn up the volume of Passengers FX. I don't want to do that otherwise. Right, we'll leave it at that. So here we are. 220. I know that as soon as I put a flap out, my speed will reduce. So I'm going to put flaps out, flap 1 now. The sounds in the sounds in this are absolutely amazing. Obviously, I've turned it down quite considerably because it was getting a bit loud. But you can hear the flap motors whirring as the flaps come down. It's really absolutely brilliant. There's not an awful lot more I can do. Let's get LS on. And a localizer, so you'll see here we've got the dots, and as we come around
2,500.
2,500.
2,000.
And we're descending, we're coming down 2,900 feet perfectly. So as we come around, you'll see the descent bug here and the ILS alignment bug coming across. That one's coming across, that one's going down. Here we are. So I can go to approach mode now.
Terrain.
It's a terrain code
Terrain,
because there's
terrain.
a hill beneath me, but that's okay.
Terrain.
We go to flat 1. Autopilot 2.
Terrain.
Shush.
Terrain.
2,500.
Terrain.
Yeah.
Terrain.
2000.
Terrain, terrain,
Shush.
terrain, terrain. Terrain, terrain. Terrain, terrain.
Right, I'll turn that off. Okay, flat 3 for landing. And there's the runway. Dead ahead. Everything's looking good. We're on the glide slope perfectly. You can see down there at the bottom. Let me bring that up. Yeah. You see here, perfectly on the glide slope. Here in the middle, we're descending. We're coming down to flap speed. Landing speed was 140, if you recall. Absolutely superb. We're descending really nicely here. And flap speed was 140, yeah? Or final speed was 140 to land. So, let's get some gear down, I think. Gear. No, that's wrong. Gear. There we go, gear. For some reason my gear switch is not working on my controller, so I need to sort that out. 1200 feet. Don't forget, 1000 feet I will disconnect the autopilots. But in the meantime, open volume mixer. Turn that up so you can hear it. 1000 feet. Autopilot's disconnected. Slightly left of field. So let's just come over. So now the aircraft is mine. We're descending.
Approaching 2, 3.
I was perfectly on actually, yeah. So let's just get back here a little.
500.
500 feet. Now yesterday I got applause and a number 5.
400.
400 feet. A little bit low.
300.
300.
Too low, flaps. Too low,
200.
flaps. Too low, flaps. Too low, flaps.
100.
Too low, flaps.
50. 40. 30. Retard. 10. 5.
1,500 meters remaining.
Reverse thrust. And there's the applause. Manual braking.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our destination. For your safety and comfort, please remain seated until the aircraft has parked and the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign.
Flaps
Please
up.
check around you for any items or belongings. Also, please use caution when opening the overhead lockers, as items may have shifted during the flight. Thank you for flying with us and have a pleasant day. Flight attendants disarm doors.
There we are. We have landed. Yeah, slightly. I was slightly to the right, and that was because as I was coming down, I thought I wasn't on the centre line and adjusted, and then had to readjust back. But it's okay. I don't think the airline company would be that happy, but it's okay. We got down. That's the main thing. Safe and sound. So we need to find a gate. So I'm just going to taxi in here. So the purpose of this flight was to say, well, what is the TOLISS like? And I can tell you, it's absolutely superb. Flies perfectly. Didn't do anything wrong. Did everything as expected and anticipated. There's only a couple of aircraft in Xplane, or the flight simulation world, should I say, that actually do what you want them to do, and this is one of them. The A319 is the same.
Ladies and gentlemen, a personal request. If anyone has found a watch with a blue band, please notify one of the flight attendants. Again, this is a watch with a blue band. Thank you.
Somebody's lost a watch. So let's get it coming on to stand here. Whoops, slow down a bit, Vic.
Cabin crew, disarm doors.
14 meters, 13, 12, 10, 11, 10, 9. These brakes are sharp, I tell you. Stop. There we go, that'll do for me. Stop. Engines off. Come on, up, 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 there we go. Oh yeah, and everybody can get off. Whew. One thing I didn't tell you, of course, is that we've got the AVI tab, which isn't the full one. Hit that. There we go. It's not the full one, but it's the one where you can get everything. You know, you can get your routes up and create routes and all the rest of it. So yeah, it's. Well, how many marks out of 10 can I give this aircraft? It's got to be 9.5. I can't give a 10 because a 10 means perfect, and nothing is ever perfect. So this, as far as I'm concerned, 9.5. Absolutely brilliant. Superb aircraft. Does exactly what you expect it to do and more. Doesn't put anything wrong. The modelling is superb. The systems are absolutely brilliant. Works perfectly, and you know, I really like it. It is brilliant. I don't think I could actually. I was trying to say, as I was taxiing in, I was saying that there are very few aircraft in the simulation world that actually do exactly what they're supposed to do, and I can count them on my hand. All right, there's the A319 from TOLISS, the A320 from Flight Factor, the IXCG 737, even though that needs an update, the 757 from Flight Factor and the 767 from Flight Factor, and now this. They, for me, all of those aircraft score 9.5 without a doubt. Absolutely brilliant. And it's your watch, Sherlock. Right, I get it. Yeah, those aircraft, for me, absolutely spot on. 9.5. Not perfect. Can't give him a 10 because nothing deserves a 10. There are other aircraft. The Saab 340 is supposed to be absolutely superb. I've got it. I can't get to grips with it, I'm afraid. I'd have to spend an awful lot of time. The Rotate MD-80, that's another one that is absolutely brilliant. although it kind of does things slightly differently from an Airbus or a Boeing, and that is a whole new kind of learning experience. But this one, the A321, is now in that list of aircraft that have 9.5 without any doubt whatsoever. And when this is available, I highly recommend it to anybody. If you're an Airbus fan, then you will get this. You'll snap it up immediately. If you're a Boeing pilot and you want to get into Airbus, then snap it up immediately. Superb. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to make myself a cup of coffee. I'll go off. For those of you who are going to watch this in the future, hope you stick with the video, because it's a good video and it also shows you the aircraft to its absolute best. All right, we'll see you all soon. Take care. Cheerio.